This is a bit of an abnormal video for me, but I had a friend, he does a lot of work, he doesn't have a lot of money, and he's got these headlights that are kind of beat, and he went and got himself some eBay lights. So I'm figuring eBay or Amazon or something like that. So I'm sure that other people are going to try this. So normally I would just do this and just roll with it. If it was like a typical person, like a customer, I'd say, no, you got to get the right lights. But basically, the OEM lights are HIDs, and he bought these halogen ones. So here's the OEM connection. See this? It's like 2 rows of 4 a piece, kind of a square connector. And that's direct plug-in. And what he went ahead and bought was like this, and it has this connector. So that's obviously not going to work. It doesn't even have the same number of wires. It's completely incompatible. So what I did, like I'm saying, I'm not really saying I would recommend this, was I went ahead and figured out what wire does what, and I made my own connectors using like Japanese bullet connectors like this, crimped them on, color coded them with like yellow zip tie, black to black, red to red, so you can see the colors are not the same. The aftermarket harness is blue. The factory harness in this case is black and white. I think it's actually a brown, and etc. So I'm gonna walk you through how to do this, but what I'm gonna tell you is mostly just applicable to a 2011 or thereabouts GMC Acadia with HIDs. If you have these and they bolt right up, perfect. If you have some other GM model, these colors and terminal numbers can be different, okay? So let me prove to you that they work. Here's the new one, wired up how I have it. Here's the factory one. I'm just gonna pop these back in. All right, and they do look nice. But replacement HIDs were like over $1,000, so he just went with what was cheaper. So this is gonna be unscripted. I just do key on. So we'll start with low beam, so you can verify that the stuff actually works. Low beam factory, low beam aftermarket. It also adds this pretty cool running lamp. You can see the park light works. Park light's a little different over here. This one's a yes. This one kind of becomes eliminated and becomes the running light, but it will come on with the turn signal. Now let's do high beam. You can hear that click. This has a solenoid type shutter. Okay, so now you can tell that one's got the high beam on. It's kind of interesting the way GM was doing this back in the like late 2000s and into a little bit later than that. Now we'll do right. You don't need to see the left turn signal, right? You trust me that it works. It's the factory harness here. So we're just going to do this right side. That's how your turn signal will work with this setup. It looks good. So GM used to do like a shutter right here. That's what that solenoid action is. So we're changing quite a few things here. So now that you've seen they do work, you can decide if you really want to get involved in this. I don't know. To be honest with you, I probably would have polished those and been done with it. However, let me show you how to do this. To really be able to do this right, you got to have some sort of subscription where you can get wiring diagrams. This is all data. So what I'm looking at here, this is the factory connector, right? So I can look at the connector, I can determine what numbers are what. And then, for example, if we started with terminal 1 on there from the factory is dark green and white, and that's going to give me the high beam, right? So I start making a little chart, and on that side, dark green and white, I know that that's going to be high beam, right? So here I made the left side and the right side because they have different colors. Some of them are similar, but they have different colors. And then I did the OEM and did the aftermarket. So how I came up with the green and white being the high beam was that whole top row is high beam. So on the passenger side of the right side, it's light green and black. But what I'm looking at right now is the driver's side. It's actually dark green and white. And then from there, how did I know red? Well, I had to go to, right, there's a lot of different models on this one. From what I recall, the X150 is the left side connector. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, that's not the one. You can see there's five different potential connectors. That's also not the one. I don't think it's the first one. Actually, yeah, that looks like it is probably the first one. So I'd look at this, and basically that connector I just pulled up would be the non-HID connector, which would be this right here. So from the aftermarket, that's why we can't have nice things. From the aftermarket, they don't correlate their colors here. So you can't be like, oh, connect red to red, green to green, blue to blue, and white to white. You can actually connect black to black. But it was a little bit tricky to figure out what wire was going to have what voltage on it. So I did all this troubleshooting, and I've come up with this chart just to help you out. If you happen to have this connector right here, and those colors should match, what I'm going to tell you is going to be exactly right. And that's if you're putting headlights in that have this color. But generally, as a professional, we don't really rely so much on colors because colors can vary. What we know for sure is the positions would be right. So like terminal 1 or A, it happens to be red, but I'm also going to go by that, right? So this is the headlight that he bought. And I don't have the OEM headlight because I couldn't pull the OEM colors because he doesn't have a vehicle with halogen lights. And then this is what actually came off the car. So on the left side, green and white will go to red, yellow will go to green, purple will go to blue, light blue with white will go to white, and black will go to black. So that's your aftermarket. So this is this connector right here. And then I don't remember if this is the one off the driver or passenger, right? But these colors will correlate. I've done the work for you, so there you go. If it's a perfect match, I just made your life really easy. If it's not a perfect match, like for example, if you bought headlights from eBay or Amazon or whatever, and these colors are not the same, you can take a look at these and you can probably figure it out pretty well because you can see what order they're in. Red, green, blue, white, black. Maybe they use different colors on your aftermarket ones. They're probably all made in the same factory in China. Serving people bowls of rice to do their, all day worth of labor. It's totally a shame. So this stuff is all coming from China. So they're probably all going to be the same. But regardless, if you have something totally different, then this should be pretty helpful. From the factory, green and white would be high beam on the left side. On the right side, for example, light green and black become high beam, right? So this is your guide right here. High beam, low beam, park, turn, and ground. That's all you need. There's one more wire, and it's for another part of the turn signal. So like one of these was turn signal voltage, and one of them is turn signal indicator, and you actually have to use indicator, right? So there's your guide. The way I would do it from here, let me pop this out for you. I'll do it non-pausing so you don't think I'm faking it. Because if you ask anybody, they're going to tell you this can't be done. I've talked with the company. I've done this a couple times for a couple different cheap people. What I've done was like the red, I put a butt connector on there. I knew it has to go to green and black, so I just do like a male-female. I can probably undo this one-handed, I think. Actually, maybe not. But I'm just going to get those, like I put the male end on here, and I put the female end on here, and then it's just matching them up. And then I went ahead and put the zip ties so you can't possibly confuse them. And eliminated the connector because I don't have any good way to have a male-female, right? But this is going to be watertight. How to do these connections, it's up to you. You could hardwire it, but I'd like to be able to disconnect them. So I'm not exactly sure who this is going to help. If you're a homeowner, I probably wouldn't get involved in this. If you're at least fairly competent, I think you could do this. You make your connections how you want to make them. Worst case, do like a heat shrink butt connector, and don't, you will have no way to disconnect and reconnect this, but it will work. Other thing I'd like to say, if you have HIDs, these are nice. I would honestly clean this and polish it. But if you're not going to do that, or like if it's broken or something, and this is a lot cheaper, these are okay. It's not going to be as bright. I did it for another guy in a Raptor, and he was sort of like, hey, these lights suck. And I said, well, you went from high-end HID to like a low-end halogen. But at that point, you know, he just had to kind of live with it. All right, so hopefully this helps. Or hopefully it helps you decide that you don't want to get involved in this and you just buy the right ones that connect directly.